All right, I'm meteorologist John Dawson. This is the YouTube Fox 26 Tropical Update. Glad you're here with us here on the weekend, and things continue to remain active in the tropics. Fortunately, it's all out in the Atlantic, and so for those of us here along the Texas coast, we're not overly concerned. And even if you're on the East Coast, we're feeling a little bit more relaxed, but there is a little bit of interest to talk about, and we'll kind of dive into things. So as I mentioned, Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico, quiet, not expecting anything to develop over at least the next 5 days, and that's going to be some good news. The areas of interest that are keeping the attention right now of the Hurricane Center, there's a tropical wave that's expected to come off of the African coast, about a 60% chance that that would develop into something tropical. What's left over from Peter, you'll remember Tropical Storm Peter, well, what's left of that is still trying to maybe get back its tropical characteristics. So about a 20% chance is what the Hurricane Center says on that particular area. And then there's Teresa. Teresa is a very short-lived system. It was a subtropical. It's one of those times that we just kind of get to check another name off the list there for those who like to keep the count of how many storms, named storms, that we're having. That's one that has been around for a very short amount of time. I think we're going to probably not have any more updates on that one anytime soon, as it is beginning to continue to fall apart. But it is, at this point, still a named system that the Hurricane Center is looking at. It's a subtropical system still. Now, the big system that's out there, and when I say big, it's powerful. Physically in size, it's not that large, but we're talking about Sam, a major hurricane, and as of the 4 p.m. update on Saturday, it's now a Category 4 hurricane. So this system remains a powerful system, fairly compact, which is good news, and it's going to start slowing down just a little bit. Maximum sustained winds about 140 miles an hour is that latest reading from the Hurricane Center that they're labeling it. And when we take a look at those computer models, it continues to take it towards the U.S. And it does look like that it will kind of get a little bit close to the East Coast a little bit. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more here when we look at the official forecast track. But obviously Bermuda is definitely going to be something that's a little bit of a concern as well, if you have any interests that are there. So here's that official forecast track from the Hurricane Center. And again, this goes out 5 days. And I talked about, notice how they get closer together and then they're spaced apart, these icons. That sort of helps represent the speed. So we're looking at the system to kind of slow down a little bit. And then as it gets down towards Thursday and closer to the end of the week, we see that acceleration just a bit. But what I want you to know is that some of the modeling that's out here is going to take Sam fairly close to the East Coast before a front moves through and then pushes it back out. Now, at this point, I'm pretty confident that we're not going to have a landfall or any major direct impacts. But if you happen to have any interests early next week, say New York City down to the Carolinas, that's kind of where I would be kind of just keeping an eye on Sam. Let's make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. If that front slows down too much, that would allow Sam to get a little bit closer to the East Coast, have more of an impact, maybe just some rain. Again, I'm not expecting a landfall or anything like that at the moment, but if the front speeds up a little bit, then it would keep it out a little bit. And this is the time of year when the fronts really start helping us, and that's what happens, especially for us here in the Gulf Coast, but even on the East Coast as well, as we're going to see here later on. As a front moves through, it's going to push Sam back out to the Atlantic, or at least kind of deflect it a little bit further north and end up more in Canada than it does the U.S. So as I mentioned, if early next week, just kind of keep an eye on things a little bit as that system kind of rolls on through somewhat. Let's reveal the numbers on what we've been doing so far. We had Teresa, that was 19 as far as the named storms. Hurricanes, we've had 7, and since yesterday, we've now got a major hurricane with Sam, so we've added one more there. That's our update, is adding one into our major hurricanes, and so we're now above those seasonal averages on the major hurricanes, and I think we're still going to have some more named storms before this is over with. Remember, we go all the way through November, and this active time is going to stay active, but because of those fronts, though, we're feeling better here, especially in Texas, that we're not going to see any impacts, and at least in the short term that's going to be the case. And then even on the East Coast, that's the case. But we're going to stay prepared. One way you could do that is to go and search right now when we're finished here on YouTube for meteorologist John Dawson. That's my page that you'll find on YouTube, and I have all my hurricane gear tests. Such a great way to kind of help get you to think about some things that maybe you haven't been thinking about when you got your hurricane supplies into some of your plans on that. For example, the most recent one was a hurricane pet kit, a go bag for your pet. Do you have a dog? Do you have a go bag for your dog? It's probably something you should think about. So if you get a chance, check that out on my YouTube channel. Search for meteorologist John Dawson.